What I've discovered in today's time is writing is only 25% of it. So 25% of my day is dedicated strictly to writing, and the other 75% is dedicated to marketing, is dedicated to branding, strategic planning, answering emails, connecting with my readers. When someone writes me a letter, I always try to respond to it. If they tag me on social media, I try to give them recognition that yes, I did see this, whether I give it a star or I retweet it, if that's what we're doing. But to me, I like people. So when I write something or when I'm doing something in the world and it taps into other people's passions and they reach out to me, I like connecting with them. I was a teacher for 3 years and I saved up my money because I knew I wanted to be a full-time writer. But the reason I wanted to be a full-time writer is because when I wasn't working on the farm or when I wasn't teaching, that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to go to a coffee shop, I wanted to read, and I wanted to write, and that was it. And it got to where if I didn't write, I felt like I was going to explode. And I talked to a lot of people who write full-time, and that's a common thread. That if they didn't do this, they would feel like they were going to go crazy. Most writers who are successful are making about $24,000 a year. So it's not, they have their pretty photographs, they have a pretty looking book or novel, but you don't see what's going on behind the scenes. You don't see the hours they're putting into their work and how much they're actually making. I had two major publishers come to me. One of them offered me $40,000, but then after that, you get the $40,000 up front, and then when the book makes when they make $40,000 back from that book, only then do you start getting the residuals. So you get 40 grand up front, and then they sell the book and they try to get their 40 grand back. And then after that, you only get 20% off everything. So 80% of the profits is going to the publisher. And if I knew that I would say get 50 grand for the novel and that they would give me 50 grand every year for every novel I produced, I probably would have went for it. But it was just a 2-novel deal and they wanted to keep the film rights. Well, I'd already finished an internship in producing and screenwriting, and I'd already been flown out to Beverly Hills because they were interested in the movie. And so, but they still wanted to keep the film rights anyways, which means that I would have handed that over. And I remember the lady that was talking to me, that was doing the negotiations, she said, we should keep the film rights because we have a relationship with Lionsgate. And I said, Lionsgate's not a production company. Lionsgate is a distributor. So after you put in $10 to $15 million into the project, and after you make the film, and when it's ready to be released into the cinemas, then you go to Lionsgate. So basically, I'm going to give you the rights to this, and the movie may not ever even be made because you guys have, say, 1,000 books, and if any of them, if anybody shows interest in any of them, that's going to be your priority. And my attitude is, I said, if you're looking for a producer to represent the novel, it's me. When they offered me this amount, they had reached out to me, and then that's how I was able to get a literary agent. So I reconnected with some of my old friends in the publishing industry, and I said, who is the literary agent to have in fiction? And they told me his name, and I called him up and I said, this is what's happened. So he said he'd represent me. And one of the things he said is that writers are artists, they're not businessmen. And so publishers are so accustomed to when a writer finds out that they're going to be published by a major publisher, they just sign the dotted line. Oh, I finally get to be published. They don't review the contract and have lawyer friends review the contract and really find out what you're signing off. Because what we find is writers that have been writing for 10 to 15 years, a lot of them regret the first 3 to 5 years of their writing career because that's what they did. They were just so happy to be published that they just signed the dotted line. But in today's time and age with the internet and with ebooks, if you can write a book and if you will take the time and have the patience to learn how to market it and brand it, get it translated into different languages, and release it on the World Wide Web. Invest money into a good PR company and a marketing firm. And if you know how to do that, you're doing just as much to your book as a major publisher would, and you get to keep all the net profits. But like I said before, it's 25% writing. Your career is 25% writing and 75% marketing and branding. So if you're not willing to put in the effort as a business person, then you're not going to make it as a self-published writer. It's not going to happen. And so, but even in the self-publishing world, you have to hire editors to help you. You have to hire the people that do the graphic design for your book. Like, you have to treat it like a business. And it's the only way. In the old model, and when I say old model, this was before ebooks, because ebooks changed everything. Right. Publishing companies had to redesign everything that they were doing, and if they didn't, they were going to get left behind. And they did, because today there's only like 6 major publishers even around anymore. Everybody else fell through. And when things change, even if you've been doing something for 20 years, you have to change with it, or else you're going to get left behind, you're going to go under, and that's what happened. Where was I going with that? What was your question? Oh, okay. So in the old model, they would have a warehouse. So they would, and major publishers will still do this, is they will go ahead and print, say, 50,000 copies or 250,000 copies, depending on who they know is already going to be there to buy it, the fan following of the author. But in self-publishing, they call it print on demand. So when an order comes in for a book, the printing company will print it and they'll ship it. Or they'll print it and they'll send it to you and you ship it. But if you can find a printer that will print and ship it for you, even if you're out an extra 20% on the profits, that's still time that, you're going to be paying that. If you had an employee, you'd be paying that much anyways, more than likely. So that frees you up. To have them print it and ship it for you, that frees you up to go and do what it is that you want to do. But printers that offer print on demand, they know what they've gotten themselves into. So if an order comes in for 2,000 copies, they're not going to fail. Like, they'll print 2,000 copies and ship them. And so when that first started happening, you'd find a lot of bookstores like, oh no, we don't do print on demand. But now, if you don't do print on demand, you're not going to have books to sell, unless you're dealing strictly with the major publishers like Penguin and HarperCollins and Hachette, and on down the line.
Have you gotten your book in any major booksellers?
Yeah, it's in Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Amazon.
Physically on the shelf?
No, and I'll tell you why.
So they have a...
Yeah, it's in the database.
Yeah, okay.
So bookstores, you can get any book that you want through a bookstore because it's in the database. So with a press of a button, they can order it, because that's what happens a lot of times. You'll go into a bookstore and you'll say, hey, do you have such and such? And they're like, no, but we can have it here in 2 weeks. It's because it's in their database, but they don't have it on their shelf. The people that make shelf space are famous authors who the book managers know for certain. People are going to come in here, they're going to see this author's name, and they're going to buy the book. Let's wait for that.
You're not there yet, I guess.
No, and I don't care. Just a second.
Don't worry about that.
Oh, yeah.
Just vocalize it.
I don't put too much stress and stock into the fact that the Mason jar is not on bookshelves and bookstores, because a higher percentage of books are being bought and sold online anyways. And this is what happens. A manager will order, say, 10 copies of your book, and they'll pay for it. It's put on the shelf, but if it doesn't sell, they return, and you have to eat that cost. So now books are being returned to you, and there's 2 options. The printing company may receive the book back and chop it up and recycle it, but you're still charged for it. Or it may be sent to you, and now you have an entire basement attic full of books that weren't sold.